Black Men in America podcast, hosted by OG Foxy. Welcome to this special episode of Black Men in America podcast. I'm your host, OG Foxy. Today, we're diving deep into the stakes of the upcoming election, exploring how Vice President Kamala Harris stands to impact millions of lives while shining a light on the policies and patterns of Donald Trump. So let's get started. Kamala explaining how she will change millions of lives for the better.
What we need to do to deal with the sandwich generation, which is what we call those folks who are literally in the middle, who are raising their young children and taking care of their parents, which is why my plan and approach says, hey, you shouldn't have to wipe out all your savings to qualify for Medicaid to be able to get support to hire somebody to help you cook for your parent or help them put on a sweater. I've done that. I know what that requires. You shouldn't have to quit your job in order to do the work that is necessary to take care of your children and your parent, because it's overwhelming to try to do it all. And so my plan is to have and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home health care for our seniors. These are a couple of examples, including what we talked about in terms of price gouging.
Kamala will work for the American people. Kamala to the extremist leaders who support Trump's abortion ban.
And let us recognize these same people, check this out, these same people who have argued that these Trump abortion bans are in the best interest of women and children, do look at their records. They tend to be in states with the highest rate of maternal mortality in the country. For decades, these extremist leaders who have neglected prenatal care, maternity care, and postpartum care, and who now, after continuously failing to support women and children, claim to care about women and children. Well, I have a question for them. Where you been? Where you been? Where you been when it comes to prioritizing care for women and children? Where have you been when it comes to helping pregnant women and new mothers? Where have you been when it comes to affordable child care?
Trump doesn't care about his wife, daughters, and granddaughters. Kamala Harris describing if Donald Trump is able to appoint one or two more Supreme Court justices.
If Donald Trump is president again, he will likely get to appoint at least one additional Supreme Court justice. Remember who we appointed. Call her Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. But if he were reelected, he'd probably get to appoint one, if not two, members to the United States Supreme Court, at which point Donald Trump will have packed the court with 5 out of 9 justices on that court who will sit, but think about that, who will sit for lifetime appointments, shaping your lives and the lives of generations to come. And that is among the many critical contrasts in this election. Look, Donald Trump doesn't trust women, but I do. We trust women, and we understand what's at stake. And with Colin already in the United States Senate, when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, I will proudly sign it into law as President of the United States.
Elections do have severe consequences. Vice President Harris said Donald Trump was able to erase half a century of hard-fought progress for women.
In just 4 years as president, Donald Trump was able to erase half a century of hard-fought progress for women. And now he wants to go even further. He will force all 50 states to track and report on women's miscarriages and abortions and go after access to contraception and IVF treatment. It's right there in his Project 2025. Google it. And let us be clear, if Donald Trump wins again, he will ban abortion nationwide. And though we are in Texas tonight, I say it to the folks who might be watching from home, for anyone watching from another state, know this. If you think you are protected from Trump abortion bans because you live in Michigan or Pennsylvania or Nevada or New York or California, or any state where voters or legislators have protected reproductive freedom, please know, no one is protected if there is a Trump national abortion ban, and it will outlaw abortion in every single state. Understand that.
Project 2025 will take away many rights that were fought for. Kamala on Trump calling America a garbage can.
I also do want to address the comment that Donald Trump made about America being the trash can of the world, whatever. He said something along those lines. It's just another example of how he really belittles our country. This is someone who is a former president of the United States who has a bully pulpit. And this is how he uses it to tell the rest of the world that somehow the United States of America is trash. And I think, again, the president of the United States should be someone who elevates discourse and talks about the best of who we are and invests in the best of who we are. Not someone like Donald Trump who is constantly demeaning and belittling who the American people are. America deserves better. And I'm happy to take any questions.
America deserves better than Trump. Kamala Harris outlining her policy to uplift Puerto Ricans.
So much at stake in this election for Puerto Rican voters and for Puerto Rico. And this election is not just a choice between Donald Trump and me. It is a choice between two very different visions for our nation. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. I will never forget what Donald Trump did and when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults.
Donald Trump withheld FEMA from Puerto Rico after a devastating hurricane. Beyonce's full remarks in support of Kamala Harris.
We are so happy to be standing here on this stage as proud country Texas women supporting and celebrating the one and only Vice President Kamala Harris. A woman who's been pushing for what this country really needs right now. Unity. It's impossible not to feel the energy in this room. Positivity, the community, the humanity. We are at the precipice of an incredible shift, the brink of history. I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother. A mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in. A world where we have the freedom to control our bodies. A world where we're not divided. Our past, our watching around the country. We need you. Your voice has power and magnitude. Your vote is one of the most valuable tools, and we need you. Your freedom is your God-given right, your human right. Everybody say Texas. Texas plays a pivotal role to change the course of our future. Texans and Houstonians from 3rd Ward, River Oaks, Sugarland, 5th Ward, Daly, Memorial, Southwest Side, North Side, all the way down to Coast City. We all have a role to play to make this a reality. We're all part of something much bigger. We must vote. And we need you. It's time to sing a new song. A song that began 248 years ago. The old notes of downfall, discord, despair no longer resonate. Our generations of loved ones before us are whispering a prophecy, a quest, a calling, an anthem. Our moment right now, it's time for America to sing a new song. Our voices sing a chorus of unity. They sing a song of dignity and opportunity. Are y'all ready to add your voice to the new American song? Because I am. So let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big, loud Texas welcome to the next President of the United States.
Beyonce's on point, so let's go beehives. Michelle Obama makes case for why men should care about reproductive freedom.
So to the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. And this will not just affect women. It will affect you and your sons. The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls, but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college. Their entire future is totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy. If you and your partner are expecting a child, you will be right by her side at the checkups, terrified if her blood pressure is too high, or if there's an issue with the placenta, or if the ultrasound shows that the embryo was implanted in the wrong place, and the doctors aren't sure that they can intervene to keep the woman you love safe. If your wife is shivering and bleeding on the operating room table during a routine delivery gone bad, her pressure dropping as she loses more and more blood, or some unforeseen infection spreads and her doctors aren't sure if they can act, you will be the one praying that it's not too late. You will be the one pleading for somebody, anybody to do something. And then there is the tragic but very real possibility that in the worst case scenario, you just might be the one holding flowers at the funeral. You might be the one left to raise your children alone. See, these are just some of the ways women die. die during childbirth. And I don't want to be a downer, y'all. But in many cases, there is no warning and things go bad very quickly. And when it happens, every second of hesitation or delay can lead to devastating outcomes. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through.
That was a powerful speech. Michelle Obama said why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent.
I'm deeply concerned, and I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close. But whether it's online or in the media or in our social circles, there are folks who say they're not sure about Kamala. They accuse her of not providing enough policy detail. Some wonder, do we really know her? Is she too aggressive? Is she not aggressive enough? There are folks sowing seeds of doubt about whether she's who she appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Voters have every right to ask hard questions of any candidate seeking office. But can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent? We expect her to be intelligent and articulate, to have a clear set of policies, to never show too much anger, to prove time and a time again that she belongs. But for Trump, we expect nothing at all. No understanding of policy, no ability to put together a coherent argument, no honesty, no decency, no morals.
That's an easy one. It's because she's a black woman. Donald Trump said, Donald didn't say this, but Donald Trump won't let anyone see his medical records.
And now the Attorney General of Texas is suing the United States government so that Texas prosecutors can check this out, so that Texas prosecutors can get their hands on private medical records of women who leave the state to get care. Now, I'd ask everybody here, please do see the irony, okay? Listen to this. On the one hand, Donald Trump won't let anyone see his medical records. I gave up mine. And on the other hand, they want to get their hands on your medical records. Simply put, they are out of their mind.
Trump always hides things that are bad for him. Trump slips and says, I lost.
I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed? Everybody always cuts you off. I'm going to allow...
Well, they not only cut you off. Well, what I'd rather do is we'll do it another time, and I would bring in papers that you would not believe. So many different papers. That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay, but give me some examples of how.
Well, let's start
Okay.
from the top and the easy ones.
Okay.
They were supposed to get legislative approval to do the things they did, and they didn't get it. In many cases, they didn't get it.
What things?
Anything.
Legislative approval
like
of...
for extensions of the voting, for voting earlier, for this,
Right.
all different things. by law, they had to get legislative approvals. You don't have to go any further than that. If you take a look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted that the election was rigged, robbed, and stolen. They wouldn't give access in certain areas to the ballots because the ballots weren't signed. They weren't originals. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present this ever? Do you think like?
Let me just give you one more before. 51 intelligence agents come up that the laptop was from Russia. It turned out to be totally false.
51 former intelligence agents, right?
They say that made. I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe. They say I lost by 20.
As you heard, Joe Rogan laughs in Trump's face. Rogan said, "I can't see the scar on your ear."
You even have a scar on your ear? You got anything on there?
I do.
What do we say?
So, right over here.
Oh, it's a tiny little mark.
It zicked right there.
Yeah. It healed up pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's little.
Trump got nicked by a little piece of flying debris. Trump said America is like a garbage can. Ratings and reviews can help the Black Man in America podcast reach a wider audience, and donations will improve the quality of our content. To donate, just click on the support the show link. Thank you.
We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to us. We're like a garbage can.
Trump hates that America has black and brown people living here. The Madison Square Garden rally is another example.
And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
The fucking illegals, they get whatever they want.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
You see, I put my MAGA jacket to trigger Hillary Clinton.
She is some sick bastard, that Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a bitch. She is the Antichrist. We need to slaughter this other people.
All right. Heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. We had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
I love you, Donald. God bless America. And God.
People of color have no place in Trump's MAGA world. Trump said Americans who criticize the Supreme Court for overturning Roe v. Wade should be imprisoned.
They were very brave, the Supreme Court, very brave, and they take a lot of hits because of it. It should be illegal what happens. You know, you have these guys like playing the ref, like the great Bobby Knight. These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices.
Trump will strip Americans of their First Amendment rights. Trump said Americans who don't support him are the enemies.
But we have the outside enemy and we have the enemy from within. And I say that the enemy from within is far more dangerous than the outside enemy. Because
this is what Putin and other dictators say before having people killed. Trump said McDonald's tends to keep good records.
And she's still saying, yeah, I started work there, but now, you know, everyone's gone. McDonald's tends to keep good records. We said, let's see your tax records. You didn't have any. Let's see anything. Give us anything then. Nobody. Then we went to the manager. He's been there a long time. No, she never worked here.
Trump has yet to show Americans his tax records. Trump starts talking about a UFC fight.
And he was having a hard time because he couldn't beat Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee won like 13 battles in a row. And he was getting like a phobia, like a fighter. You know, not about the fight stuff. But like, I went to a UFC fight, and it was a champion who was 14-0 about a year ago. You would know the names. 14-1, and the only guy he lost to was this one guy. But the guy that he was fighting was like almost just an average fighter. Lost numerous times, but he beat this one guy. So I said, okay.
I really don't know who you're talking about. I'm trying to.
No one knows what or who Trump is talking about. Trump admits he is paying for the bogus polls that show him ahead.
But, I have a theory of these polls is they charge you a lot of money, too. They charge you $500,000 to do some stupid poll, and they interview like 251 people. I don't think they interview, in many cases. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble.
You think it's bullshit?
I think they sit there, they make a deal, they get $500,000, and they say, Trump's leading 51-49. They announce it, and everybody says, oh. Do you understand? I think in a lot, look.
Everything about Trump is bogus. Trump and America's history.
Right, all of a sudden I'm standing in the White House. And it was very, very surreal. That room was so beautiful to me. Much more beautiful than it actually is. To me, when I looked at the bed, and the bed you could see was a little bit longer, had to be a little bit longer. He lost his son, and they suffered. The two of them suffered from melancholia. They didn't call it depression. They called it melancholia, and they suffered from it. He was a very depressed guy, and she was a very depressed woman, more so than him. And on top of that, they lost their son, whose name was Ted. And it was just...
Trump is an idiot. Thomas Tad Lincoln died 6 years after Lincoln's death. I'm not sure what happened here.
Tip workers and service workers here in Nevada, increasing the so-called tip. She wants this. When I said tip workers.
I'm still not sure what happened. Trump said, if she ever won, my life won't be so great in this country.
And by the way, if she ever won, my life won't be so great in this country.
Trump is 100% correct because he will be in prison. MAGA, you are racist suckers.
Dear MAGA, we have some bad news. No, not that he lost. Not that your little coup attempt failed and its planners and the attackers are going to jail. No, the really bad news is why Trump told you he lost. Why he set it up way before the 2020 election. It wasn't voter fraud, but it was fraud. Trump told you the election was stolen to rip you off, to sucker you, to take your hard-earned money and shovel it into his pockets. He spent it on himself, not to take back the White House. It was the biggest scam in political history. Every dollar you sent him paid to keep his shaky business empire and lavish lifestyle going. It was a sucker's game all along. And you know who the sucker is? It's you.
Trump has always been and will continue to be a con man. Trump said last week, I did Oprah's show.
When you were on Oprah's show, she was encouraging you.
Last week I did one of her last shows, I think maybe Thursday or Friday. That was a big deal being on.
Trump was not on Oprah's show last week. If you are undecided, listen to this.
I was pretty much undecided in this race till I heard Donald Trump talking about Arnold Palmer's penis. Now I'm a Trump guy.
He took showers with the other pros. They came out of there. They said, oh, my God.
I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump until he freaked out at a rally and spent 40 minutes just swaying to music.
I decided to vote for Trump when he talked about the crowd reaction to his debate.
And they corrected me everything I said practically. I think 9 times or 11 times. And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy.
When I heard his warning about sharks, that was it. I'm going with Trump.
But you know what I'd do if there was a shark? or you get electrocuted. I'll take electrocution every single time.
He's a stable genius.
Bad news, bad things are happening. Mom, I'm sorry.
Donald Trump. Because we want a guy in his 80s who talks about Arnold Palmer's penis, sharks, and whatever the hell he's trying to say.
This election is a no-brainer. It's definitely Kamala Harris for president. Well, thanks for tuning in to Black Man in America podcast. Remember, the future is in our hands. Stay informed, stay engaged, and let's make sure our voices are heard in the upcoming election. Until next time, stay true to yourself, and may God bless us all. Black Man in America podcast at OG Foxy Production. Love and peace to us all.